want to do this morning is show you the history of the person of Jesus, so that you know that when Jesus was born, Jesus' beginning as a man was traced. We know that Jesus existed as God, you understand, and he took on flesh. And that flesh was actually traced by two authors, the book of Matthew and the book of Luke. The book of Mark and John did not really give us the history, the genealogy of Jesus. But there's a reason for that, and I'll show you the connection of 4 histories of Jesus in the books of the gospel. Matthew 1:1 starts with the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Then verse 2 now says Abraham begot. So the history of Jesus was summarized in Matthew 1:1, that he's the son of David, he's the son of Abraham. And the history of Jesus from Matthew's perspective started with Abraham. Matthew was writing to the Jews. And the Jews know that Abraham, God made promises to Abraham that his seed, in your seed shall all the nations be blessed. So there's a promise, a lineage of salvation, redemption in the history of Abraham. So Matthew, writing to the Jews, had to prove to the Jews that Jesus is of the lineage of Abraham. So the promise that in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed finds its fulfillment in the person of Jesus. Are you following me? That's why that history started with Matthew. And it now says the son of David. And you know that in David, God said to David that David, I will raise up your seed that will sit on the throne. So the Messiah, the promise of the Messiah was actually given to what? To David. So when Matthew was saying Jesus is the son of Abraham and the son of David, Matthew was writing to the Jews saying Jesus is that person that is the fulfillment of the promise given to Abraham and the promised Messiah given to David. Because in the book of Acts chapter 2, the scripture says that Peter quoted the promise that God gave to David about the Messiah. And that's why Matthew wrote about Jesus as the Messiah. So if you look at Matthew divided the account of Jesus into 3 parts in verse 17. From verse 17. So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. Says from David unto the captivity in Babylon 14 generations, and from the captivity in Babylon unto Christ are 14 generations. So the generation from Abraham to David is called the dispensation of the patriarchs. From David to captivity is the dispensation of the kings. So you have the patriarchs, you have the kings, and you now have people in bondage, in captivity. At the time Jesus was coming, the children of Israel were in captivity and in bondage, and they were looking for a Messiah, a Redeemer that will come and deliver them from captivity to establish the kingdom that God gave to David. And that's why Matthew took time to tell us that Jesus is the promised king. So the picture of the history of Jesus from Matthew's perspective is the king that is coming. Hello, church. Are you people here? That's the history. Luke's account, if you read your Bible very well, it will look as if, are you sure it's the same person they are talking about? Because Luke's account from Abraham to David, the same. From David to Jesus, not the same. Luke's account. 2 reasons, let me say this. Luke traced Jesus' account not to Abraham, but to who? Adam. Luke chapter 3, 23. Now Jesus himself began his ministry at about 30 years of age, being in bracket, notice that, being in bracket as was supposed, the son of Joseph, the son of Heli. Go to verse 38, the son of Enos, the son of Seth, the son of Adam, the son of God. Can you see now? So Luke traced Jesus' account not just to who? To Abraham, but straight to who? To Adam, and to God, to Adam. So in Luke's version, Jesus is the second Adam that will come. So you now understand 1 Corinthians 15. Why Adam is called the first Adam and Jesus is called what? The second. Because Luke traced the lineage. So Jesus in Luke's account is the son of man. or the son of, I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. In Luke's account, is the son of man, the son of God. That's in Luke's account. He didn't just talk about Abraham, no. He went all the way to Adam as a history, and in that picture, he was talking about Jesus as man. But where I want to focus on this morning, in this Luke's account, is in verse 23, is that word as was supposed. The word as was supposed means that is what they think, but that is not who he is. Hello? Are you following me? You don't write as was supposed if it is who the person is. As was supposed in bracket is that earthly, from the earthly perspective, Jesus is seen as the what? As the son of Joseph. But we know he's not the son of Joseph. And so if you trace the names they were given from Luke's account, they were different up to David. If it was David, that there was a similarity. So what Bible scholars have said is that Luke's account, Heli, is actually the father of Mary. That Luke's account traced Jesus not from Joseph, but actually from who? From Mary. And now you now see Luke tracing Jesus as the seed of the woman that God promised in Genesis and chapter 3. As a seed of the woman. So the history Luke gives us is that Jesus is the seed of the woman from the Garden of Eden, the promise, the fulfillment of divine promise. Well, what you need to understand is that from people's history, you can trace the identity, like I said yesterday. So Luke traced it as was supposed. And somebody will say, okay, let me explain this. In Jewish culture, when a man gives birth to daughters and doesn't have a son, if you marry the daughter in Jewish culture, you become what? A son. In Jewish culture, you become what? A son. So that's why he said that Joseph, because if you check the father of Joseph in Matthew and that in Luke are slightly different. It's because of that history from the perspective of Mary. So in the history of Luke, I see Jesus, two pictures, the seed of the woman in the Garden of Eden and the second Adam for God's plan and redemption for humanity. That's what Genesis, the law of origin tells us. Mark's account, please, you need to get this message this morning. Mark's account did not go into that history because Mark, writing to the Gentile world, presented Jesus more as a servant. John presented Jesus as God. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. It is in John most times we see the deity. By him all things were made. It's in John's account we see Jesus more from his role. He's the great I am. It's in John's account. So John presented Jesus as who? As God. Now connect the four pictures together. You see the king, Matthew. You see God, John. And in between you see a servant and man. Did you get that? You see king in Matthew, you see God in John. In between you see him as what? The servant and man that will die for the salvation of humanity. Now that is the picture we see from the law of origin about the earthly person of Jesus. So just reading the accounts, we understand perspectives, we understand pictures. We understand focus. So John was not interested. John was interested more about the deity of the person of Jesus. Look, that's why in scripture, it's in Matthew you find that he may fulfill, that he may fulfill, that he may fulfill. Why was Matthew writing that he may fulfill, that he may be fulfilled, that he may be fulfilled? Why? He's trying to tell the Jews that Jesus is what? The fulfillment of scriptures. And when we come to Jesus fulfilling scriptures, in fact, I'll show you like just the journey to the cross. There are like 25 prophecies that Jesus fulfilled. Just from the journey to the cross. After he took communion with his disciples to the cross, there are like 25 scriptures, prophecies that he fulfilled as the Messiah. As we move on in this series, I will show you. So law number one is what I call the law of origin. So we've seen that the son of man, the seed of the woman. So we see Jesus as king, servant, man, and what? And as God. The most important seed in life is Jesus Christ. John 12. Hallelujah. The most important seed is not money. The most important seed is Jesus. John 12:23. But Jesus answered, saying, the hour has come that the Son of Man should be glorified. He said, most assuredly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and what? And dies, it remains what? Alone. But if he what? Dies, it produces what? Much grain. We could preach a sermon here. A seed would not produce except it leaves your hand. True of us? Are you in church? Praise the Lord. A seed will not produce except what? It leaves your hand and goes and follows the process of death. And Jesus said, the time has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. But in how would I be glorified? I have to what? Die. That's the essence for Easter. If I don't die, I will remain alone. But notice this. See where I'm going? Yeah. And you need to get this revelation in your spirit. It says, but when the seed dies, it produces what? Much fruit by growing. Can I ask you, the fruit that is produced by the seed, is it exactly the same like the seed that is sown in terms of quality? Huh? If you sow a high quality seed, would it produce a high quality fruit? Huh? Talk back to me. Is it the same? Yes. So can we predict the quality of the fruit looking at the seed? Yes. Huh? Yes. Are you following me? So we can predict the quality of what? The fruit looking at what? The seed. Can I say this to you? In the realm of the spirit, you are a fruit. And in the eyes of God, you are exactly like the person of Jesus. Because the fruit cannot be different from the seed. Did you get that? Did you get that? The fruit cannot be what? The fruit cannot be different. No wonder the Bible says, if any man is in Christ, he's a what? He's a new creature. But then it says, he that knew no sin, God made to be sin for us, that we might become what? The righteousness of God in him. So from the perspective of God and in the eyes of divinity, you are the fruit of salvation. And the fruit is exactly like the seed. So in the eyes, no wonder John says, as he is, so are we in the world. The fruit is exactly. So as we celebrate him, can I say this to you? As you celebrate him and his resurrection from the dead, everything that Jesus is in his resurrected state is what spiritually God has made you to be. Because the seed, no wonder he says, I and the children whom the Lord has given to me, we are for signs and for wonders. No wonder he says he's not ashamed to call them brethren. We are brothers because we are from one stock. He says, I am the vine and you are the what? You are the branches. We are one. So in the realm of the spirit, when I come before the Father in the name of Jesus, he sees me as if it's Jesus is standing there. And we know that Jesus said, Father, I thank you because you hear me what? Always. Because the fruit is exactly like the seed. Right, so Jesus had to die, which is Easter, so that fruits can be produced to God. Now let me preach another message from there. You know, when tree grows, what do you do to the fruit? You pluck them to eat, to enjoy. Or you pluck them to what? To sell for somebody else to enjoy. So you need to get this message again from this passage. It's that Jesus had to die so that your life can become enjoyable to God. Can become a fruit. The way you live your life is a fruit to God. It's a life that God enjoys. So Jesus says, I do always the things that please the Father. My life is a fruit.